Hey guys, it's Drew here, and today I am here to make my video about budgeting as a solo person in terms of groceries and what I do with my grocery budget. I want to welcome everybody who is new to the channel. If you are new, hi, my name is Drew. I make videos about 2 to 4 times a week, and I'm sharing my journey towards financial independence, changing my budgeting, looking at my budgeting lifestyle, my money mindset, and my psychology around that. And I'm budgeting towards living my dream life in Bath in the future. So, to be able to accomplish that, I need to make a lot of changes in regards to finances, how I save, how I budget, practices, and do a lot of recovery work with financial trauma as well. So financial trauma is something I'm going to be talking about in another video, but it's something that has impacted my life and also pushed me towards making this channel as well, so that I can work a lot on the layers of what it means to be financially independent and also make sure that my lifestyle is healthy and in alignment with what I want to do in the future. So part of that process has been a tumultuous one in terms of when it comes to food and finances. So this has been a long-term thing for me since I can't even remember when, like from when I was an early adult. And it's only now that I'm starting to recover through a lot of things. So I should probably, before I start, have a disclaimer in some circumstances to say that, and I'll put it in a link below, that part of the reason why I still do struggle with a lot of this stuff too is because I am a recovering person who has experienced long-term eating disorders, and I have PCOS too, which is kind of an endocrine system, I guess, health related issue that really does go through my whole body, and it makes it hard to have a relationship with food because it's such a very it can be a hard time. Like whenever I lose the weight or whenever I change a nutrition style, it can put my body into a lot of panic, and since I already have a lot of panic and nerve damage and nervous system damage from complex PTSD, it's a very weird relationship and can be very complex as well. So I know I come on here and I talk a lot about trying to change my behavior around spending a lot of money on takeaway food, but I also sometimes need a reminder that it is also a coping mechanism, and having this element to my budgeting system, which I'm trying to work in, and I've only been doing it for a couple of months, is also an aid of helping a lot of other layers of work that I'm trying to do with myself as well. And I think that's important for anybody to recognize when you're new to starting budgeting. There are a lot of different things that go into that. Yes, it's about the money, and for some it's a little bit more simplified, but in terms of my journey it's been quite complex, food and money. So we're gonna go with that. So on a fortnightly basis I have about $140 to spend. So I started a couple of months ago with 100 and realized that was not enough, and I was overspending with like buying extra groceries, and I was also buying a lot of takeaway. And for mentions just previously discussed, I do go through phases of having a lot of that, but it also means that when I am spending a lot on takeaway, I don't have the money to do the things that I know that I need to do and to want to do. And that's always a kind of weird cycle as well, because I realize that I can't do some things, and that makes me feel a little bit behind. So when I realized that 100 wasn't enough, I upped it to 140. That seems to be doing really well, and this is where my journey of this particular budgeting and meal planning system worked. Now, I don't really do very well with having a food diary or a planner that's specifically for meal planning. I've tried them before, it just doesn't work for me. I kind of really need very, very simplified things that are very adaptable and can kind of just be thrown away at the end of it. I've kept these because I wanted to do a video on this. So basically what it comes down to is I have 140 and I try very hard to stick with 140. And this is as a solo person, so that's about $70 per week. And now, taking into account, for me, I need to also focus on making sure I'm not buying a lot of processed foods or like really difficult carbohydrates and things like that, because I do have PCOS. This is something I'm getting better at. It's a kind of seesaw, because sometimes to eat healthier I need to spend more money and then I have less food on certain things. So it's a refinement process, but this is what it usually looks like. I started with just writing down some recipes and making it so that I'm working on portion control as well, so I can get like 2 meals out of a big bulky thing that I'm making. And so I would go online, I'd look at things, or I'd think about recipes that I already knew how to make or had made before, and then I just make a list of about 7 or 8, because then if I can divide them by 2, that's 14. And then usually like breakfasts are pretty simple and lunches can be easily made. So I focus predominantly on like dinner, but of course, like when you are buying stuff, there's always leftovers as well, like leftover supplies. So if I'm getting a carton of eggs and I only need 4 eggs, then it's going to be leftover that I can have for lunch or make other meals as well. So I would start with that, and then I would build my shopping list, and I would do it all in one go, going onto the particular website that I use for groceries, and then I would go through everything and mark down how much it costs. So for example, in this shopping list, tuna, olive oil, $1.60. So I would know how much everything was, and then I can rearrange it as well. This really helps my mental health. One of the things as well is like feeling like I can get everything that I need for recipes, and I try to keep recipes pretty simple as well, because overcomplication is just too much for my brain. But it's nice to know that I can get majority of everything I need, and everything else like chips or like snacks and stuff is extra. So when I'm looking at my my menu and list, I don't really focus too much on getting snacks, but I have to adjust that as well, because I recognize that I do need to have money for snacks as well. They can be healthy snacks, they can be fruit, they can be anything like that, but I need to make sure that in my budget I am making sure that I have snack related things. So I didn't really take that into account to start with. And I always have a budget for coffee, because coffee is life, so especially drinking it from home. So I just did this a few times. I think I started it in November doing that, and all the way through December. And it worked. It very much worked for me as well. And in terms of doing that, what I used was post-it notes, and I had them on a like wall on a larger piece of paper. So I would write down like whatever the thing I was planning on making was, and then I just like put it on the board, and then I like before I walk out of my room to go to the kitchen, I would just take one of these and be like, yep, today we're just gonna do like herbed eggs in spinach and mint yogurt. So like I already kind of had that, and this is part of that process as well, like an integrated process of having a meal plan, having a budget, and making sure that I know what I'm cooking, because of the next thing that I'm going to be showing you is how I used to budget that didn't always work for me because I didn't have a great system. But I came back to it, which kind of makes no sense, but we'll go there. So what I used to do is I would say I have $140 and I would break that into categories. So for example, meat, pantry, vegetables and fruit, snacks and salad and stuff. So that I was balancing everything out, because sometimes I have issues with eating too much meat or too much of something else and not enough of something else. And I need to eat quite a lot of meat for my PCOS. It's kind of like eating keto as well. Kind of, that's really that kind of style of eating where it's a lot of like cheese and meat and stuff. That really does help. So I've kind of tried to increase that, which is why I brought it back to just see how much a fortnight of a fair amount of meat was going to cost, and see whether I could also still maintain what else I needed as well. But what I used to do was I used to do that and then not have the integrated system of having meal plans or an idea of what I was going to actually use those ingredients with. I used to just buy all the stuff, stick it in the fridge, and then barely cook anything, because the overwhelm of figuring out what I was going to cook or what I felt like or having variety was just way too much. So things would go off. I would overeat. Like, it was just a mess. And this is predating where I'm living now. This is kind of, I guess, a year or two ago was my habit, as well as takeaway. So you can imagine like having the combination of things made, like, put a strain on my finances, it put a strain on my physical health, and it just put a strain on my mental health, being able to like take care of myself. Because part of budgeting and part of working on this sort of grocery, food, nutrition, meal planning is taking care of myself the best I can. Because I don't necessarily live with my partner. Well, I don't, but like, we don't share finances and we don't cook together. So it's not something that I'm able to kind of, I guess, share that with if I had a partner, like most. So it's something that I need to do for myself to take care of myself as well. So that's what I generally do. And yeah, I've come back to this because I'm trying to figure out what's the best ratio between having takeaway, having meals out, like spending on myself and enjoying those really fine quality things that I love, and diversifying my palate, but also being able to do it at home as well. Because there are so many meals that I love to make at home myself, because I really enjoy cooking and I enjoy experimenting and I love flavors. I'm quite a diverse eater, which makes it easy in a lot of ways to be able to eat healthier. And my previous partner of 8 years, who I'm not with anymore, he had diabetes, so a lot of the eating and cooking and that went into that. I was cooking for two people, I was planning for two people, I was shopping for two people that had very similar like endocrine issues as well. So that made it a little bit easier, and sort of I've got that history and that past knowledge. It's really just figuring it out and making sure that the system works so that my mental health works as well, because my mental health does play a huge part in all of this. So that's what I usually do, and that's what I've done this week. I think it kind of worked. I don't necessarily think I'm going to do this every time, because I quite enjoy this system. The previous system, it works a lot better. I have a much more stronger understanding of like where my money's going in terms of especially the bigger things like meats and vegetables. And yeah, just like I mentioned, making sure I'm adding a snack section as well, and that can just be like protein bars or crackers or cheese, or because I do get snacky, and that's also part of having that emotional fix, I guess. Like, the better quality snacks I have and the healthier snacks I have, when I do get emotional, rather than sort of like reaching for the habitual thing of ordering takeaway or doing something that's kind of destructive in a way. I'm going to be trying to reach for something that's going to also help my brain and help my body, because PCOS does affect quite a lot of the things in your body, and it's an insane I wouldn't say disease, but yeah, it sometimes feels like a disease because of the weird things it does to my body. So that's how I do things. And then I just kind of, yeah, like this week I picked out the recipes that I plan to make, and I know that I have ingredients for those. So like tonight it's just going to be like sancho bao with chicken mince and probably some rice, which is quite healthy, because part of this also is I want to try and eat at least 8 meals a fortnight where it's PCOS friendly, and give myself the rest of those other days to either have the takeaway or go out to meals with people or anything regarding that. Also because I know that in April and December, as I've mentioned before, it's going to be takeout central. It's going to be Christmas in December, and it's going to be my partner visiting in April, so it's probably going to be heavy with that kind of food. So preparing myself for that now as well means I can also make healthier choices in that time period. It's not hard to do in a lot of ways. It's just building those systems into place. So I need to do that. And yeah, so Veronica, this is what my cup is full of. It's full of recipes basically. And I don't keep recipes, or rather it's full of ideas for what I want to make. I don't keep recipes because generally, like, once I've learned how to make something, I remember it fairly well. And then also I just kind of go by my own instincts a lot of the time. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it doesn't. It's I guess that's part of the fun of it. And I, like, when I first started, I just started throwing them out, but then I thought, well, there's probably more value in like repurposing them, because I can always use blue tack as well, because a lot of these meals I can make over and over again, so I'm not necessarily looking at doing the process of trying to find meals every time as well. So like generally, like once a fortnight, I'm always going to want shepherd pie, particularly like vegetarian lentil shepherd's pie. So I can always put that in here and then add that to my shopping list. So it gets easier and easier every time, because at some point I can just go, yep, okay, I've got 7 meals here. Okay, I know what I need to get, because these are the things I generally get like on a regular basis. I have a general consensus of how much they cost, so I don't always have to go onto the website and do exact details. I can kind of guesstimate, and then it just gets easier and easier over time as I refine the system. And this is working for me as a single person, a solo person. I don't know how that's going to look when I do have a live-in situation where I am living with my partner. I try not to think too much about that, because we have very, very, very different tastes in food and eating, and like the level of spices and herbs, and like we have very, very different palates, so it's going to be an interesting experience. But I have a partner who's very supportive and willing to kind of explore things and do things differently and try things. So, and he also knows how to cook himself, so that's also a benefit as well. If you have a partner who can cook for themselves and you can cook as well. And I imagine we both will still have our own finances, because that's something that's really important to us both, to buy our own needs, our own food needs. So hope that was a good show through of like how I do it, why I do it, and what I'm working on, especially this year as well, because I do need to lose a little bit of weight for health reasons, not because I want to be thin or anything like that, but like I want a better quality of life with my PCOS. So food is one part, budgeting is one part, but also exercising and stuff is another. But that can be another video. So I hope you enjoyed my look into that. You will see it very much reflected in my budgeting and my planner as the months go on. And yeah, I hope that it maybe helps somebody out there who would like some ideas. So if you do have any questions, you can put them in the comment box below. And if you have any videos relating to budgeting and food and groceries, or channels that you like to watch that you enjoy, also link them below because I would love to watch them as well. Thank you guys for your support, and I will see you sometime this week for another video that I haven't quite decided what yet. Okay, bye.